Finn here, Reverse's product manager, and this video is going to be about installing and setting up the new COLAB PRO single speed tensioner. And the tools you need for this job are just a chain splitter and a quick link tool and a 4 and a 6mm hex key. If you're changing from a cassette to a single speed setup, then check our website for the compatibility with your hub driver and check the video listed in the description below for the installation and setup for those. If you're taking off a tensioner or a derailleur, a quick tip is always start by just taking the chain off, and then the rest of the job is going to be way easier after that. Before installing your Pro tensioner, it's important to note that the bracket for adjusting chain line has 3 mounting positions indicated by a notch and 3 grooves on the barrel. Please ensure that with the first installation it's in the middle neutral position. Now you've removed your existing tensioner or derailleur, it's time to install the Pro. Start by taking your 6mm hex key and screwing the tensioner onto the dropout. It only has to be finger tight at this point because we're going to come back and set the correct torque after a later step. Next step is adjusting the chain line so that the sprocket and the tensioner pulleys line up perfectly. First, if not done already, open the pinch bolt on the mounting bracket and then the tensioner can slide freely through the bracket. The next step is to ensure the distance between the cog and the pulley on the tensioner is correct. Start by loosening the pinch bolt at the top of the tensioner and then loosening the main mounting bolt with the 6mm hex. Now you want to ensure there is between a 1 and a 3mm gap between the cog and the top of the pulley, and this will ensure the correct amount of chain wrap so that there are all of the teeth engaged on the cog at all times. Once you have the correct distance set between the pulley and the sprocket, please ensure that this little tab on the tensioner is pushed all the way down against the dropout. Then you can tighten up the pinch bolt and tighten up the main bolt. The last step of this process is putting the correct 28 Newton meters onto the main bolt. The next step is installing the chain. With the Pro tensioner, under no compression of the suspension, you want the cage to be sitting between 6 and 7 o'clock. Now that we have the chain installed, we can see that the cage of the tensioner is sitting a little too far back, maybe 7 to 8 o'clock. We want to bring this round a little bit further into the perfect operating window, and I can see if I take this slack, I can remove one link and I'll be in the correct window at that point at about 6:30. And now, with a link removed in the chain, we can see that the tensioner cage is sitting much more within its optimal working range. The last step is to make sure that under full suspension travel, the tensioner is not fully topped out and that it's still within its working range. If you have an air shock, simply deflate it and push the bike through all of its travel. And if you have a coil shock, you have to remove the spring to be able to check in the same full travel position. With your shock unsprung, now let the bike cycle through to full travel. See, this linkage has very little chain line growth, so the cage on the tensioner isn't moving much. But if your chain is too tight, you will see that the tensioner is pulled all the way round to near full movement, and if it is knocking into the limit stopper, then the chain is too tight. In extreme cases, you'll probably need to add another link to the chain, but in more marginal cases, you can use the 3 positions and the mounting bracket to adjust it to give it more range of motion before hitting the stopper. Now with the tensioner installed and the chain length correct, the last thing is the clutch. This can be adjusted on the fly, and the tighter the clutch, the tighter the chain's going to be. To start with, unwind it in the minus direction, all the way open, and then close it 1/4 turn. This is your neutral or starting position. Go for a ride. If you get any chain slap, simply tighten the clutch up by another 1/4 turn. Do another run. If you get slap, repeat the process. You've got a full 360 degrees to tighten the clutch from the neutral starting position, and we advise you don't put more than 3 Newton meters of force on this bolt. Thank you very much, and as always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and enjoy your tensioner. Cheers.